So I hope you can all see the presentation. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Valerie Apia, and along with my colleague, Dr. Chandanya Padu, we are currently undertaking a study on the importance of tertiary education in the ocean governance framework. So our study will be based on the Mauritian context. So one element within the ocean governance discourse which requires attention and analysis is education. So our presentation will examine ocean governance from a tertiary education perspective. The University of Mauritius will be used as a case study throughout our studies, and we are going to evaluate the role of the university in this concept of ocean literacy. Now, we all know that education plays a central role in the management and use of marine resources. The sharing of knowledge and experience, whether from a scientific, environmental, and legal perspective, encourages maritime stakeholders to become aware of the importance of the sea and how and why it should be protected. So recognizing the importance of the ocean and seas, the University of Mauritius has taken the steps to promote knowledge in this area of ocean governance. So although the university has already started contributing to the transmission of knowledge and skills about ocean governance, one aspect of the discourse which has not been extensively researched on is how the tertiary education sector can become a pillar of ocean governance here in Mauritius. So the objective of our research is to look into how the university, the University of Mauritius is currently contributing and participating in ocean governance and how it can promote education within this area. So if you want just to summarize it, so the main purpose of our research is to assess the role of the University of Mauritius and how it can become an ocean literacy hub within the region. And all these in line with Mauritius' commitments for the SDGs about education and life below water. So to conduct our research, we are using several research methods, but the main one is the qualitative research method. So the qualitative research method is where we are going to examine the various policies. So within the qualitative research methods, we're going to also use the black letter research method, which is going to assist us in analyzing the various policies, agreements and laws which regulate the education sector in Mauritius, and as well all the structures, regulation again, policies which frame the education sector in Mauritius. So these research methods will help us better understand the legal framework for education in Mauritius, the legal framework for ocean governance, and how both can be put together in order to enhance the visibility of the university as an ocean literacy hub. Along with those research methods throughout our research, so the research is a work in progress. So throughout our research, we have come across various research done by different academics and researchers about the importance of education within this context of ocean governance. So to come to the analysis of our research, we found out that it is now unanimously accepted that education is a key component to the sustainable use and management of ocean resources. Across the world, universities are offering courses, trainings, and capacity building on ocean governance matter. So the role of tertiary education sector is really important. Tertiary education institutions are actually a bridge between those students who have just finished school, who have the academic background, but who are still yet to go into that world of employment. So the role of tertiary education institution is to be that bridge, helping students, I would say, help them to have all these develop their skill in order to train them to be ready for the world of work. So within the context of ocean governance, tertiary education institutions play a central role in the sense that they provide the skills to future scientists, to legal researchers, to administrators. So the university play a key role in training those people before they enter the world of employment and dealing with ocean governance tools. So tertiary education institutions are really important in that ocean governance framework. Now, some of the findings concerning the university which we have found. So currently at the level of the university, there are several programs which have been set up. So there are undergraduate programs which are being offered at the university. So you have a BSc honors in marine environmental science. You have, for example, the law department, we touch on the law of the sea aspect for our LLB and law and management programs. So there are programs which touch about ocean studies at the university. We also do have two master's programs which deal specifically with ocean and coastal management at the Faculty of Science. So those masters are an MSc in marine science and an MSc in coastal and ocean management. Some short courses are also being given. Concerning the research aspect, there are several publications. So many colleagues are participating in symposium, conferences, workshops, and publish a lot about what the university does to enhance ocean governance. So those are some of the findings, status as to what the university currently does. But despite those steps, there are many things which still have to be done. And this is where our research comes to those recommendations. Also, although the university has taken the steps already, but more has to be done. For example, something which is very important is the collaboration. So we have the tendency, lecturers, academics, to work in our own area, and then government officials do their work separately. So there is a need to have a collaboration between lecturers and government officials. So how to go ahead with this collaboration is through, for instance, a roadmap for ocean governance in the tertiary education sector. This roadmap actually would be the key foundation if we want Mauritius, the University of Mauritius, to become an ocean literacy hub. This roadmap would actually be the foundation for this. So the main recommendation for our research would be to create this roadmap, which would enhance collaboration between academics and government officials. Another point would be to take a multidisciplinary approach to research. Again, so this would be at a micro level at the university. So we tend generally each academic to do their own specific research about their particular field. But as we know, ocean governance, it's all about everyone working together. So it would be beneficial to have academics taking a multidisciplinary approach to research. And finally, one final recommendation would be outreach to local communities. So we need to advertise. We need to get our research to the local community. Research should not stop at being published in journal, book chapters, but they should have that impact, community impact, that will really get the message out there. So in order for the university really to become that ocean literary hub, to move to really be an integral part of ocean governance framework here in Mauritius. So those recommendations have to be realized. Just to conclude on what I've said, and I'll open for discussion, have your views. So as national policies here in Mauritius are aiming towards the development of the blue economy, the role of the University of Mauritius as a tertiary education institution is of utmost importance in training and educating stakeholders about the importance of the sustainable use of the sea and its resources. Just a word of thanks. So Dr. Padu and myself would like to thank the university authorities for giving us the opportunity to conduct this research. And our gratitude also goes to the organizing team of this conference for giving us the opportunity to present our ongoing research. So I would like to receive your comment. I'll just stop sharing. So I would like to receive your comments with regards to our research before we publish it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Valerie. Nice presentation. So we've got some 3-4 minutes for questions. So if there are any questions for Valerie, please, this is the time to ask your questions.
Yes, I've just got the one question in the chat. So what role can the University of Mauritius play as a regional ocean literacy hub? I mean, the role that the university would play would be we're going to see it from different perspectives. So from an academic perspective, we are going to provide courses, deliver courses on ocean governance issues. Courses can range from the scientific aspect as well as to the legal aspect. So provide for the scientific part of it, so academic part of it. We talk about vocational as well, practitioner and vocational aspect of it. So give training to trainers, develop short courses that would give the technical expertise to trainers. So those are the role that the university can have concerning to become an ocean literacy hub in the region. I just got another question.
Yes.
Do you foresee or will you advocate exchange students from WIO tertiary institution? Definitely. We already have some partnership already with some various universities in the region. For example, Université de la Réunion from Réunion Island. My colleague Chandania Padu also works with the university in Australia with regards to exchange. So some colleagues from the region come to Mauritius for short courses. So we are definitely open to welcome, and even we travel to other countries just to share our knowledge and experience. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for Valerie? All right, Valerie, from me, if there are no questions, is I mean, we talk about regional and we're looking at how we can share the little resources that we have in the Western Indian Ocean region to enable probably countries that don't have already universities to be supported, to have students coming to the University of Mauritius. So how can you improve your sort of marketing or visibility so that as a region, you're more known and what you can offer is also known, and probably work with other universities across the region to support specific courses that are currently important for the WIO region?
Yes, when we talk about dissemination of knowledge, yes, it is partnership between universities, but as you rightly mentioned, to disseminate the knowledge further, not only to students, practitioners, but to local communities and villages, we are ready to actually work with NGOs, work with local communities through NGOs, through the government, to actually really get in touch with people who work with the ocean and use ocean governance tools in a daily basis. So yes, we're prone for collaboration with universities, but as well with other stakeholders to really get the message, get the training, the education go out there and reach the people.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we can follow that later with more discussion. There's a call. This is not a question, but you've been asked to rally your students,
Yes,
especially
yes.
female students, to join WIMS.
Yes, I am a member. Yeah, I am a member. My colleague is a member as well. And we have many of our students who joined in the past couple of years. So yes, we are rallying women here. We're happy
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Valerie. Thank you very much for answering those questions. And Valerie is still here. So if there are any questions, please just send them to us on the chat and we'll be able to forward them to Valerie. I think we'll move on to the next presenter, who is, I'm not sure if I have the name right, Kwak. Sorry if I pronounce it wrongly.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Yes. Please take it forward.
Okay, Mr. Chair, can I proceed?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's just wait for the slides to go back. Okay, good afternoon, esteemed colleagues and friends and ocean ambassadors. I'm Commander Kwak from the SA Navy. Regrettably, my colleague, Professor Ismail Teletsani, won't make it this afternoon, while in our Central African time, because he's in the Washington, D.C. But as you can see, we've got I won't say controversial, but something not used to type of topic, and that is the role of navies in terms of ocean governance and maritime security. So without further ado, I'm just having technicality problems on this side to have the slide move on.
You could
okay,
escape and all right, it goes. Okay,
there you go.
All right.
So just for background, we're all familiar with the Western Indian Ocean, and as we can see, it's a mass water body that needs to be secured and that needs to be protected, both for our own livelihood and for the ecological sustainable management thereof. So ultimately, then the role of navies and coast guards are very much of importance if we want a secure trade route and if we want to look at our marine living resources. And once again, so I don't know, there you go. So just from a background perspective, we need to take cognizance of the following, and that is that from a political point of view, there's very much inclination to a landward economy. We will know that Africa and the surrounding Western Indian Ocean stakeholders have got a history of being more focused on the landward side than on the ocean side, ocean economy. And for that reason also, there's also a very strong inclination, especially on the African side, to a weak economic growth with limited foreign direct investment. And that, of course, then leads to the fact that we observe an absenteeism or absent, or that there's an absence to limited ocean governance policies, be it at governmental level or cascading downwards towards your navies and your coast guards, who are in effect being given a mandate to protect these waters and to secure the waters, not just from a security point of view, but also from an ecological point of view, as a support agency to government departments such as the Department of Transport or your respective departments of environmental affairs. Something that we also need to take cognizance of is the fact that survival of mankind takes precedence above the ocean and coast at this point in time amongst our citizenry, because they are not educated, they are not inculcated with the need and the awareness of how important our coastlines are and our high seas. Furthermore, also from a background perspective, we need to take into cognizance also the legal accountability and the jurisdictional issues that are involved in our high seas, especially in the areas beyond national jurisdiction, which then leads to limited transdisciplinary engagement, because that type of awareness doesn't exist. And the previous speaker very much or eloquently alluded to the fact that we need to look at collaboration and we need to look at partnerships. Okay. Okay, next slide. So the problem statement for today is a slow progress of Western Indian Ocean navies in improving their contribution to improve Western Indian Ocean governance by means of transboundary agreements through transdisciplinary regions, also as mentioned previously by the previous speaker. Yeah, my apologies. So objectives-wise, we would like to address a resolve on national and regional political synergy, because the political impetus, the political support is critical in an environment where there's a collective output or input and output that's required. Also, then we need to look at the increase and support of capacity building initiatives. I think at this point in time, especially within the naval context, Western Indian Ocean side, Indian Ocean Rim Association, and the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium level, it's something that still needs to be addressed. And then also, as the whole topic for today is to promote national and regional transdisciplinary research on ocean governance, especially at naval level. So the key drivers, without wasting any time, the key drivers is for the participation by maritime leaders. That's essential in the integration of best governance practices and the gradual build of trust. What do I mean by saying that? Is that we need to make sure that in order to build trust, in order for best practices or best ocean governance practices to take place, our political, our tertiary, and our industry leaders needs to come to the party. Furthermore, the political commitment, we just jumped. Political commitment also by the Western Indian member states creates impetus towards foreign direct investment, where finances are crucial. And then also the coordination and synergy within the judicial and jurisdictional system of the respective Western Indian Ocean member states is critical. The old saying, legal finish is critical, but arrest must lead to prosecutions, especially when we look at the green crimes that are now being highlighted in the media. Okay, next. So as a continuation of that, it is absolutely critical that we have or that we appoint maritime champions such as navies or coast guards, or in this case, as we're experiencing now with WIOMSA or WIOGEN, and their support towards this whole drive to ocean governance. Furthermore, something that not everyone is very much aware of, except if you're in a conflict area, is the civil-military transdisciplinary cooperation. And the previous speaker also spoke to how there needs to be partnerships and collaboration between our government stakeholders and our tertiary institutions. And in this case, we need to make sure that the military or the navy of the navies of Africa engage our civilian counterparts, and we get the best option there. Then also, of course, we need to look at the promotion of consultation, not confrontation. Okay, so to confront is not always the best way. Although our navies are seen as aggressors, then we need to reassure, not deter. We need to be transparent, not secret, as very much at the forefront when we come to military operations. And then we need to prevent, not cure. We shouldn't just correct. Be pro-resilient, not resilient. And then also, of course, the move from interdependence to we move to interdependence, not unilateralism. So yeah, that's just some of the key drivers that we need to look at there. Next slide. And then something that's been very much discussed in the previous presentation is also to provide ocean knowledge to all, to invest in building ocean literacy and awareness amongst our citizens. We always look at the undergrads, our tertiary institutions, colleges, universities, technicons, but we fail to acknowledge the fact that we also need to invest in our primary school and secondary school leaders, our young people. Also, knowledge, to invest in knowledge, technology, and skills is something that goes without saying. But not all countries share the same type of infrastructure. Not all countries share the same type of economic wealth or prosperity. And I think at this time with COVID, It's something that really knocks on everyone's door in terms of the economic influence thereof. And then also, of course, we need to increase Western Indian naval cooperation through initiatives such as the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, the Indian Ocean Rim Association, and similar naval exercises and operations that have taken place, but that we need to increase in conjunction with our coast guards, our marine coastal people, government at governmental level, and NPOs and NGOs. And that's the type of way that we need to look at the role of navies within the WIO. Okay, next slide. So to put all of that together as key drivers, we look at intersectoral integration, we look at intergovernmental integration, we look at spatial integration, which is critical at this point in time also. Also something discussed was the science management integration. And then, of course, we need to stratify the whole capacity building process, not only at school level, not only at tertiary level, but also at government level, to influence and inculcate our political leaders with the type of knowledge so that they know and they understand the critical nature thereof, and that there's a collaboration between our academics, our subject matter experts within industry, and then also, of course, government itself. Okay. So at regional level, there's a couple of challenges that we need to acknowledge. One of those are the national interest and political support. More specifically, the national versus region interest, because each nation, each littoral state's got their own national interests, but that needs to be tied up with what the regional interests are. And we need to find synergy between those two. Then, of course, a lot of the landlocked countries and littoral states experience political volatility, not only at national level, also at regional level, within the regional economic communities. And I can just start by saying where I'm situated in South Africa, within SADC, you all are very much afraid with our political volatility at national and regional level. Then we also need to look at the coordination and consistency in applying governmental and regional policy instruments. There's a plethora of them that one can mention, but it's extremely important to make sure there's consistency in applying it, not just a once-off and hit-and-run type of behavior. And then also, of course, in the past, countries were much more inclined towards landward protection, landward militaries, and less towards the seaward side in terms of our navies and our coast guards. And that's something with the blue economy drive and worldwide attention being given to it, that we need to increasingly now put on the forefront and try and articulate the need for navies, not just to be seen as the aggressor, but to act in a more utilitarian type of position, or as a utilitarian type of instrument. Okay, next. So what are the other challenges that's being faced by navies? One of them being the organizational architecture. You will know that some littoral states only have a small coast guard, if you can call it that, whereas other navies within the Western Indian Ocean are existential stronger than what one would see in your less developed type of countries. And of course, because of that, your defense funding plays a critical role in making sure that the necessary infrastructure exists. Then also, of course, your available capacity at national and regional level jeopardizes the role and the mandate that can be given to navies or coast guards. And you will continuously hear me saying coast guards and navies, because they need to work in unison. Once again, the terminology that we've been using called collaboration, partnerships, a multidisciplinary type of approach. That is basically what we look at. And then last is the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure in our ports in the different countries, littoral states, that's available or not available. And that definitely challenges the navies of the Western Indian Ocean. Okay. So the archaic thinking of navies as war instruments to a more utilitarian thinking of a cross-sectoral, multidisciplinary type of agent acting as constituents of good order at sea in support of stability of the African coast is what we're discussing here. We want to move away from the old way of thinking of navies, the old way of thinking of the military, and look at them more as the stabilizing factor and having more utility than just carrying weapons on board and shooting missiles or torpedoes. We're looking absolutely at the more support type of function that can be fulfilled not only nationally, but also regionally. Okay, next slide. So what Professor Teletsani and myself have discussed is this type of transdisciplinary naval cooperation research type of model, which you're all very much aware of and au fait with. For the context of this model that was drafted, we look at SADC, the South African Development Community, and then specifically looking at ocean governance, the organizational architecture, capacity building, and interoperability. Interoperability, in other words, cross-sectoral type of approach, making sure that all navies speak the same tongue, that they all au fait with ocean literacy, that they all have learning programs within their respective command structures at various rank levels. Then capacity building, yes, that goes hand in hand with interoperability, but the organizational structure needs to make itself available for that type of new movement, this new regional thinking. And then also, of course, all of that is based on ocean governance, on good oceans custodianship. And you can see the detail that goes with each of those four key factors. And the next slide, I'm just making sure that we don't run out of time. So from a conclusive point of view, improved Western Indian Ocean governance is directly impacted upon by littoral states or navies to align the ocean governance policies to that of the Western Indian Ocean region in support of improved maritime security. Like I said, it will take time because it's still, there's old doctrine, there's old policy still that's directly connected to it, but we need to look at a utilitarian type of approach in support of an ocean-driven economy and collective capacity building orientation towards improved maritime security and marine living resources protection. Because ultimately, navies and coast guards, where do they operate? On the high seas, in the littoral areas. So we need to take custodianship of those waters by means of our presence. And then the regional commitment towards an optimal mix of ocean governance policies options will allow each littoral state and its navy to consolidate experience and the respective national interests. So with that said, I would love to hear this is just some acknowledgement to the literature that we sourced. We can finish there. And then if there are any questions, hopefully I can put some light on that.
All right, thank you very much for a nice presentation. We have questions, but time does not allow us because we have to run by the strict timetable. However, please take note of that question. Should we have space at the end, you can address that question. So
maybe you can answer it very shortly while I try to share the screen. I have the next presentation lined up by Jean-Ami.
All right, thank you.
I think he's here and will answer questions, but I'll try to share now, right?
All right, so please, you can answer that one question as
okay, yes, so my take on this is how we influence political thinking to make sure that at regional and international level, our political principles understand the importance of marketing ocean literacy and the utilitarian use of navies within the Western Indian Ocean. So it's all about our political principles being inculcated and given exposure to a new way of thinking of our navies.
Thank you very much. I'm sure this is very interesting discussion. We can pick it up later on.
Thank you very much.
And see how we can extend this discussion as an interesting emerging area in the region. So we welcome the next presenter.
You can see the shared screen with the video?
Yes, we can see the shared screen. Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll start the video now.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Jean-Aimé. I'm from Madagascar. I'm MSc student at the Institut Halieutique et des Sciences Marines, University of Madagascar. Today, I feel so honored to be here at this conference, and I will share our contribution by presenting one part of our research which focuses on local governance of marine resources in Madagascar. So, what I'd like to talk about is the role of local community and the responsibility of the co-managers in governance of marine protected area in Madagascar. So, before starting, let we have a quick view of the presentation structure. As you can see on the screen, this presentation is divided in 4 parts. The first part will give us an overview of the MPA management in Madagascar. The second will describe the methodology which explains the energetic approach to evaluate the capacity to govern of the local manager, and the RBCA's approach to evaluate the MPA's protection level. The second part is followed by the finding part to show us the effectiveness of the governance groups, the protection level of the MPA, the relation between the capacity of the local managers and the protection level of the MPA, and the responsibility analyzing in MPA governance. The last part is the conclusion to show that where are the local manager referring to good governance practice. So to start, I will begin directly by telling the context of the MPA management and the objective of this study. As described by the literature, MPAs are one tool for conservation and sustainable management of marine and coastal ecosystem. It is also among the best methods to engage citizens in marine conservation. And each country develops their specific strategy for the effectiveness of this MPA management. And for the case of Madagascar, it is a co-management between local community and the delegator, I mean the local managers and the NGO. However, the effectiveness of this management depends on good governance. But the problem is we don't know if this local governance is effective or not and how to evaluate it. That's why this study has been conducted for 2 objectives. The first one is to evaluate if the local managers have the basic attributes of good governance. It is the authority, capacity, and power to govern sustainably the MPA. The second objective is to measure the protection level of the MPA. So this evaluation help the local managers and help all of the decision makers on how to prioritize the action to do in the MPA governance. So it is the responsibility of the co-managers and the role of the local governance group. And from here, we will see the method to reach out the objective of this study. This research has been realized in 2 regions of Madagascar, as we see on the screen. The first is in southwest region, where can be found the Shoriek MPA. The second is in the northwest of Madagascar, where we can find the Ankarea and Ankivuns MPA. From here, we will see the method to reach out the objective of this study. This research has been realized in 2 regions of Madagascar, as we see on the screen. The first is in southwest region, where can be found the Shoriek MPA. The second is in the northwest of Madagascar, where we can find the Ankarea and Ankivuns MPA. Concerning the methods, 2 approaches have been used. The first in the top left is energetic approach to evaluate the effectiveness of local manager. So energetic stands for natural resources governance tool. An entity uses a questionnaire and ascribe a score to its question in order to obtain the score of the sub-attributes. Then the overall score of the sub-attribute gives the score of the attribute. These attributes are in the bottom of the screen: the authority, the capacity, and the power to govern sustainably the MPA. And it is noticed that high score means good governance. The second in the top right is the RBCS approach to evaluate the protection level of the MPA. So RBCS stands for Regulation Based Classification Systems for the Marine Protected Area. RBCS characterize the different types of use within the MPA and ascribing a score to its type of use in order to calculate the zone score and the MPA score. These zone score and MPA index determine respectively the protection level of the zone and the overall protection of the MPA. And it is noticed that high score means poor protection or weak protection. Here, as you see on the screen, we are at the third part of this presentation. It is the result of this study. So the finding shows that the local governance groups have their authority in terms of legal recognition, but they have low capacity to implement their conservation actions. It is found that they don't have yet a full power in terms of decision making. Concerning the MPA protection level, it is found that the protection of the subzones within the MPAs are not the same. So the no-take zone are evaluated as no-take with regulated access. It is the second level of this evaluation system. However, the sustainable use area are evaluated as weakly regulated extraction. It is the sixth level of this evaluation system. In consequence, the MPAs are evaluated as moderately protected area. It is the third level of this evaluation system. So, what are the relation between the capacity of the governance group and the protection level of the MPA? The statistical analysis revealed that the more the exploitation materials and techniques are abundant in subzone within the MPA, the more the level of protection of this area is low. And the weak capacity to govern of the governance groups is among the main sources of the repeated infractions and the diversification of the exploitation, and that affects the level of protection of this governed area. We have seen that the main result of this research is the weak capacity to govern of the local governance groups, which affects the protection level of the MPA. So the responsibility analyzing shows that the resolution should be focused on the basic attributes of good governance. On the one hand, that is the responsibility of the co-managers in terms of capacity building and developing an exit strategy for the independence of the local governance group. On the other hand, that also is the role of the local governance groups in terms of initiative, implementation, and motivation. And to sum up, local governance is facing to the weak capacity to govern of the governance groups, which influences their power in terms of decision making. In consequence, the protection level of subzone within the MPA are not the same, and the MPAs are partially protected. So that needs the responsibility of the co-managers. They should focus on improvement of sub-attributes to ameliorate the local governance, particularly the sub-attribute of the capacity. And for the local managers, their role should focus on promoting local initiative, improve the implementation capacity, and encourage their staff in terms of motivation. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this presentation. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, I guess we have about 5 minutes for the end of this session, so we can still invite questions to all the speakers before we break for lunch. Any questions or comments? If there are no questions.
Maybe everything is clear, I guess.
When people are quiet, either everything is clear or nothing is clear. I hope it's a former. All right, then if there are no questions, I think we can break 5 minutes earlier. Rebecca?
Yes.
So if you look at your programs, we've got other activities after the lunch break.
There will be poster sessions that run in parallel, and you find the links on the quick link agenda.
Yes, so please join the sessions that come after this. Otherwise, we meet again somewhere else. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Arthur. See you soon.
Have a good lunch for those who are having lunch. Thank you. Bye.